are the odds on Lincoln Hawks pitch?
20-1, pal. Real long shot.
Walks? Let's go.
The world meets nobody halfway. Remember that.
I don't have a father, sir.
The world has always bet against Lincoln Hawks.
This guy's nothing.
Why'd you leave us?
It won't happen again.
What my grandson found, I don't care how you do it. Do it.
But a winner never listens to the odds.
Whatever happens, I want you to stay with him.
Where'd we end up?
Together is all I can guarantee.
You ain't got a prayer in Vegas.
You never had anything, so you have nothing to lose.
All I want to do is hurt him, cripple him, get him off the table.
All I care about is you. You're my boy, you understand?
The world beats nobody halfway. Now is the time to do for yourself.
I'm all you.
Over the top, Dad! Over the top!
Sylvester Stallone, Over the Top.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie. We're part of the Main Damie Network, and to find more from us, check out the website, themaindamie.com, or on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Main Damie. We are also now a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gbnation.com. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio, and with me as always is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. I might be distracted during this podcast. I'm learning how to go under the bottom.
Okay, there you go.
You don't want to do that. That's not going to help you at all, Mark.
Nope.
Unless we're talking like sex-wise, then you might have stumbled upon something there.
Yeah. If you go under the bottom, that makes you the bottom.
Right. Power bottom. Is that what you were getting at, Mark? You're a power bottom? Yeah. Is this what we're finding out?
I was trying to hint that out to the fans.
Ladies.
Power bottom, ladies.
That's a
well,
heck of a way to start.
Yeah, this is not a podcast about Mark's preferences in the bedroom. It's about the movies that we were watching. But before we get into the specific movie this week, guys, what have you watched?
I watched a few movies, and there was a little bit of a theme there. But the first one was Guns Akimbo with Daniel Radcliffe and Samara Weaving. And she is quickly becoming one of my favorite actresses. She was great in Ready or Not. I don't know if either of you have seen that movie.
Yep, saw it in theaters.
Yeah, such a good movie. And
Which
she was
theaters?
so cool. Theaters? What is that? It's a magical place, Mark. It's sort of like, you guys ever hear that movie Gamer with Gerard Butler, My Boo?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was a 10 times better version of Gamer, where Daniel Radcliffe is kind of forced to participate in this underground gladiator-style game, and it's him going up against Samara Weaving, and she's just a total badass. It's very colorful, very zany. Daniel Radcliffe is awesome in it. I would recommend both of you watch it because it's so far out there and it's unique. And my other movies that I watched were The Firm with Tom Cruise and Gene Hackman. Hated it. And then my last movie, I didn't want to dwell too much on it, but my last movie was Mississippi Burning, which was a good Gene Hackman movie. It just reaffirmed my appreciation for Gene Hackman. I've always liked him, but man, he is so intimidating. He plays a CIA? FBI, I think. Yeah, he's FBI investigating the murders of a couple of civil rights workers, and Michael Rooker's in it. There's some Brad Dourif is in it too. It's a pretty good cast. And Gene Hackman is just super intimidating, and yeah, it was a good movie. It's a very depressing movie, but at the same time, it's an important movie, especially in these times. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna talk a little bit more about Gene Hackman shortly because of what I watched. But Mark, what have you been watching?
The only movie I watched this week was No Holds Barred. We should probably just end my segment because I did watch when I was doing some stuff around the house. My grandmother has on MeTV, and Saturday nights is like Sci-Fi Saturdays with Spaguli or something. Svengoolie or whatever, and it was an old sci-fi movie, and I forget. And I've been trying to think of it since when we did the pre-show, and I can't remember what it was. But I did sit and watch that while she had that on. But yeah, No Holds Barred's really the only movie I watched. I watched bits and pieces of documentaries from No Clip, which is the video game documentary thing. But I didn't watch the full documentaries yet. I started the one on Arcane Studios. I leave this segment mostly to you guys. I need to have a reason to watch a movie or walk by it while it's on TV more than you guys do.
Okay. All right. So I watched a bunch of movies this week. First, I'm going to get through the brand new Netflix film, The Kissing Booth 2, I watched because my wife wanted to watch it. And not nearly enough kissing booths in this movie. But that's all.
I loved your tweet. When are they going to get to the kissing booth?
Yeah. Barely in it. There's like a 5-minute scene where it's like the kissing booth is like some sort of fundraiser. And I guess it's supposed to be a big hit in the first movie. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to do it again. And it was like 5 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm watching a movie about a kissing booth. I want to see the kissing booth. It's like when I watched that movie Graduation Day and they never show the graduation. False advertising. But that's all I'm going to talk about of that movie. And then I just kind of hit up some classics. Kind of spurred on because I've been listening to Unspooled, the podcast Paul Scheer and Amy Nicholson host, where they just kind of wrapped up their season 1. So they've made it all the way through the AFI Top 100 list. I listened to the last couple of episodes, so kind of got me wanting to watch some classics, which HBO Max hooked me up. So I watched Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Casablanca, and Bonnie and Clyde. So it was a pretty stellar week for me in terms of watching films, besides Kissing Booth 2. Needed like 70% more Kissing Booth.
Not enough kissing in a booth.
They're saving it for the third movie when they finish the trilogy.
They shot it when they shot Kissing Booth 2.
I was setting you up. I didn't know if you had seen that on Twitter.
Yeah. I'll watch that and it'll be like 30 seconds of a kissing booth. Just throw my remote against my TV.
It's just a shot of a dilapidated kissing booth.
It's bullshit. Remember when we used to use the kissing booth? And then they go on for that movie was first of all, that movie was 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
Ooh, wow.
Even for me, that's way too long.
That's a slog.
Let's not go crazy there, Mark.
Yeah.
You're like, this is like the perfect length for a movie like this. 2 hours and 10 minutes. Giving me everything.
I'd add another 5 minutes for good measure.
Now, how gritty was it?
Not gritty enough.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you asking if it contained gritty or?
Oh, if it contained gritty, it needed to be 3 hours.
Just him sitting in the kissing booth?
Oh, man. Now you're giving me ideas for a parody.
I'm sure I'm giving you ideas for other things too, Mark.
Pants are down.
Excuse me, I need to step away from the mic.
I need to go under the bottom.
This is where I'd just put in a sound effect of unzipping.
Right. Mark's mic gets muted. I think we lost Mark.
So yes, this week we're back. And this week it was Mark's turn to pick a movie. But Mark doesn't watch movies, so hopefully he watched this one though. So you wanna give us a little bit about your movie?
Yeah, so I had a reason to watch it. That's why I watched it. Yeah, so I picked Over the Top, the arm wrestling movie with Sylvester Stallone. I mainly picked it for 2 reasons. One, I've been meaning to watch it for a few years, and just, as I said, unless if I'm inspired to watch a movie, I don't really do it. But I saw it pop up on Prime. And then me and Anthony, have some history with Over the Top. We made a student film back at Penn State, the sequel called Way Over the Top, which was me playing the Sylvester Stallone role, essentially. It's the underdog arm wrestler coming back from a devastating pinky injury. So it's one of those movies that I haven't really watched it since then. So there were parts of this movie that I kind of forgotten and also exaggerated in my head. So it was fun to watch the full thing end to end for the first time in about, 16 years since we did that. I was really excited when I saw it pop up on Prime, like first page. I was like, oh, they're looking out for me. So
okay. So Dan, where are you coming from with Over the Top?
I've only heard rumors of this movie and its gloriousness. And it's surprising because I do enjoy myself some early Stallone movies, and this movie, it lived up to what I had heard and what I expected. And I'm kind of angry that I didn't watch it earlier, because I definitely would have enjoyed this in my teen years. This was my first time watching it, so there was people would only kind of give me an inkling of what it was. They just gave me the broad synopsis of Sylvester Stallone's a truck driver and he arm wrestles. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. You know, who doesn't like seeing Stallone do that? And I didn't realize that there was a kid thrown in there and Robert Loggia was thrown in there and Robert Loggia's a dick for no reason. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, this is the makeup of something great. And I just, again, I'm sad that I kept it for myself for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen this in a long time. I don't know if it's been 15 years, but probably close to it. The first time I remember hearing about this movie was a Saturday Night Live sketch when Sylvester Stallone hosted it. And it was a sketch where it's Sylvester Stallone, he comes upon a car crash, and it's Norm Macdonald in the front seat. And Norm Macdonald, even though he's bloody and like near death's door, he just keeps making fun of Sylvester Stallone's worst movies.
Oh, I remember that. That's a good one.
He keeps beating it in about over the top, and the fact that it's a movie about like child custody. He's like, oh yeah, you know what's a good movie about child custody? Kramer versus Kramer. You know what it's missing though? Arm wrestling.
If I remember correctly, Stallone is just like, he's really, you see him getting aggravated. He's like, yes, I know.
It ends with Will Ferrell plays a paramedic and Norm Macdonald's character dies. And he's like, what's this on his front seat? Oh, it's a VHS of Rambo. I guess he did love your movies. And then like there's a beat goes by and it's like, oh, no, wait, no, it's Rambone. It's a porno.
That's a good sketch. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. But this movie is fucking great. It's so 80s.
It's amazing.
This movie is amazing for the soundtrack alone. God, I was obsessed with it. Obsessed with this fucking soundtrack.
I think there's 2 Eddie Money songs.
I was going to say, it says Eddie Money on there, but it didn't sound like Eddie Money to me.
It doesn't have that Eddie Money sound, but I mean, they said
I guess it's
Eddie
him.
Money.
Yeah. You were right. When you had messaged us in the group chat, like, this is what Rocky V should have been.
Yeah.
He's right. He's 100% right.
Because this was right in between Rocky IV and Rocky V. It's in 1987.
Yeah. My favorite trivia about this movie, which I was reminded by when I opened up the Prime, was the fact that Stallone finally agreed to do this movie after the director just kept offering him more and more money. And eventually he was just like, sure, nobody's going to see it.
Yeah. This movie, you know, you could just like plop this back into the Rocky universe. Stallone's playing Rocky. You know, this kid is Rocky's son. I don't even remember what his son's name was. Robert Loggia is Adrian's dad or something. And Adrian dies. Boom. And instead of arm wrestling, it's a boxing match.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because you're right. Essentially, we get Mike, the son, has that Adrian moment when he shows up. It's like, oh, all right. He gets that second wind.
I'm not 100% sure what the best song in this movie is. Because in this country, the song that starts it off is pretty great. But Winner Takes It All is also pretty excellent.
I think that might be the best one.
Meet Me Halfway, Kenny Loggins one is really good too. Oof, man, I don't know. Take It Higher, also a great one. Man, maybe we'll just have to do a second episode where we just review the soundtrack. Frank Stallone's got a song on here.
That already makes it a top-notch soundtrack.
Man, it was so good.
You know, love it or hate it, Stallone has some bangers in his movies, right? Yeah. Obviously, you got Eye of the Tiger, you got Hearts on Fire. Like, those songs, those are quintessential 80s songs.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was surprised like Stallone disliked this movie so much because it's basically every other movie he's ever done.
It's definitely not as bad as the one where he's the what is it? It's like he's like a teamster or something like that. Did you ever see that movie?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Damn, or a union. He's like a union buster. I forget exactly. I watched it at work one day during the summer because it was slow. And I was like, is this Stallone? Like, yeah, he's a union buster. I've never heard of this movie. Like, yeah, there's a reason. It sucks.
Yeah, I don't know which one that is, unless it's Oscar.
No, Oscar is the one when I think he's the gangster.
Yeah, he's the gangster.
That movie also kind of sucks.
Angelo Snaps Provolone, directed by John Landis.
Oh, boy.
Murderer John Landis.
A triple
Helicopter
murder.
Dad.
The helicopter dad. The ultimate helicopter dad.
Over the Top. It's from 1987. It was directed by Menahem Golan, who directed a bunch of movies, mostly overseas, but more importantly, he was one half of Golan and Globus, cousin producing team behind Canon Films, which gave us such great movies as Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, later Death Wish sequels, Invasion USA, which we've covered, Cobra, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo. If you haven't seen the documentary Electric Boogaloo, highly recommend it. It's all about Canon Films. It's a very interesting look into their business practices and kind of just their energy that they brought to filmmaking. It's written by 4 writers, including Sylvester Stallone, and it stars Sylvester Stallone, Robert Loggia, Susan Blakely, Rick Zumwalt, David Mendenhall, Terry Funk,
Yeah.
Chris McCarty, Bob Beatty, and Alan Graff. IMDb score of 5.8, Rotten Tomato score of 30%, budgeted at $25 million and only brought in 16. So this did not make its money back. Yes, our second Terry Funk movie too. He was in Roadhouse. I don't know if we ever got really into that about Terry Funk in Roadhouse, but yeah, he was in that. Apparently he was big. He's good friends with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie was awesome. I forgot how great this is. It's just pure 80s. You know, 1987 is a year that brought us a bunch of episodes that we've done so far. This is one of the best ones too.
My favorite 80s thing about it is Stallone's character's name. You know,
Hawk.
Lincoln Hawk.
For some reason, they keep calling them Hawks. Did anyone else hear that? Characters were like, "Are you Hawks?" Like, I think, isn't it just Hawk?
I didn't catch that.
Well, yeah, I mean, going back to your point, Ant, the 80s was such a magical time for just about everything, you know? It was, especially movies. There's so many good 80s movies, whether it's, you know, cheesy 80s or like epic 80s. This movie, and I agree, I'm surprised Stallone really doesn't enjoy it as much, but hey, listen, you know, to each their own.
Yeah. In last week's episode, we mentioned just how complicated the Bye Bye Band makes it. Like, it makes itself so complicated and doesn't need to. This movie doesn't overcomplicate. It knows what it is, and it tells its story in an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's super A to B. It's super simple, and I love it.
And it's even more simple than I thought it was.
Yeah.
That was probably the best part of it. It was just it's a very simple story about a father trying to, you know, the arm wrestling is kind of the B story in this movie. Although that's everyone who knows about this movie, that's what they know about it. Oh, the arm wrestling movie. But it's really about the father trying to reconnect with his kid. And, you know, that's such a good tale on its own. It's been done countless times, but if it's done right, it's very sincere. And I think this movie does that pretty well. You know, they don't take a ton of time doing it, right? They connect pretty quickly, but it's not so quickly where it's like, well, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They do a little bit of a montage, the Stallone special, and yeah, it was a feel good movie. I after I was done watching it, like, man, that was nice. You know, I didn't feel bad about myself.
Yeah, sure. No, it's like they do a good job with the father-son moments. It's easy. Kid actors, you could always kind of be like, oh, well, that kid's annoying and he's bratty. Although, from what I could tell, looking at his age and when they filmed this, I think he was 15 at the time, which he does not look 15.
And they played him off as 12, I think.
I don't know, because Robert Loggia says 12, and then the kid says 10. I'm not 100% sure what age he's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I thought the kid was good. I thought the kid was fine. And then their scenes together, they worked really well.
Yeah.
Like the arm wrestling scene, like where they take on the bully kids. That's a very good scene. The scene where he teaches him how to drive the truck was a good scene. It was very well done. I think Sylvester Stallone should rewatch this with some better glasses on, I guess, because this is a fine movie.
I wonder if it's one of those things where when you're attached to it, you know, you see it through a different lens.
Sure.
Like, because we're viewing this from the outside. Obviously, he wrote it, or he helped write it. He acted in it. So he was you're probably super critical of it. So maybe it just didn't hit the way he wanted it to hit, or there must have been some underlying reason Or maybe just because it didn't perform well, and he's just like, you know what, I want to forget about it.
Are you saying there's a Stallone cut?
Well, he didn't direct it, right?
No, I know.
Well, that's the thing, man. I think a lot of people don't give him credit for his writing abilities, because he's written a bunch of movies, and
I think he writes the middle part of the Rocky series, right? 2, 3, and 4.
He wrote the first one.
Oh, and he wrote,
and he won an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
So Stallone's an Oscar-winning writer.
Yeah. So, a little trivia. Sylvester Stallone was reportedly unhappy with the final film. In an interview with Ain't It Cool News, he said that if he had directed it, he would have changed the setting to an urban environment, used scored music instead of rock songs, which he's wrong about, and made the Las Vegas finale more ominous. And David Engelbach was one of the other writers who was appalled at the changes made to his script. He recalled having tears in his eyes when he saw the film. He remarked that his original draft wasn't nearly as dumb as the final film, and that it was more about truck driving and arm wrestling than it should have been.
Yeah, and that's what I thought going into it. I thought this was going to be about a rogue truck driver who's just, he's a vagabond, and he just makes his money like he's a degenerate gambler kind of thing. And he loses a lot, he wins a lot, and I didn't expect it to have the child custody storyline.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like in this he's saying that he didn't expect the final film to have as much truck driving or arm wrestling in it. But I mean, if you write a script that has some arm wrestling in it, that's like there's always that chance that this is going to be forever known as the arm wrestling movie. It's just so specific.
Right. There's not many of those movies out there.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing I would have changed about this movie, I probably would have played up the tournament a little more instead of leaving it to the third act.
Mm-hmm.
We get mention of it early in the first act where Hawk runs into Bull at the rest stop.
Yeah.
So I thought we were going to see a little bit more arm wrestling action, because we legit just get the truck stop, him like teaching his son how to do it against the bullies, and then the tournament.
Right.
And I mean, the tournament makes up for it. They cram in a ton of arm wrestling, but I thought it would have been cool to have him build up that rivalry to Bull.
Yeah.
Instead of it just be like, they run into each other at the truck stop. Hawk kind of backs away, and I don't blame him. He just finished a wrestling match. You don't go right into it,
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
Like,
That is one thing that I was thinking. I was like, they should build up the rivalry where he arm wrestles him there
and
he loses.
Right.
So he's out like that grand, and then like maybe we hear that like, yeah, I still can't beat that guy.
Right.
Like 0 for 10 against him or whatever.
Well, yeah, because throughout the whole movie, Robert Loggia is telling everyone how much of a loser Hawk is, right?
Yeah.
So it would make sense, because all he does is win. I think he loses one time in this movie, and it's a very non-substantial loss. It's just to some like bushwhacker guy, and I think it would have been cool to play it up where he's a lovable loser, where he has a heart of gold kind of thing. He's trying to do right by his son, but he can't help. He has the itch where like he makes that grand and immediately loses it. And it's like, all right, well, he's not good with his money. But
easy come, easy go, right?
Exactly. It's just in and out. I think that would have been a little bit better of a character build for Hawk instead of him just constantly winning. And that was a big problem with a lot of those 80s action stars, right? How often did you see them lose?
Right.
So, I mean, Schwarzenegger never lost. Jean-Claude Van Damme was like contractually obligated to never lose. Same thing with Seagal. And those guys never lost. Chuck Norris. It would have been cool to have Stallone, like you said, he gets beaten bad. And now it's like Anthony said, man, one day I'm going to get him. And obviously at the tournament he gets him.
Yeah. That would have been good.
The main thing in my head that changed between my thoughts on this movie, like what I thought this movie was and watching it again, is I thought Robert Loggia's character was a lot more evil than he actually is in the movie. For some reason, I had in my head that he had kidnapped the son and was trying to get Lincoln to lose the arm wrestling. Like the whole end of the movie was different in my head for some reason. I could see where he's coming from.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Or you raised a kid for 12 years. You don't want to lose him.
Yeah. And this guy's been nowhere to be found for that amount of time. I mean, sure, we find out that somebody was keeping the letters. It was his mom, though, right? His mom was hiding the letters from him.
I mean,
he finds it in her room.
Yeah, they were in her purse.
Yeah.
But that's weird because she was the one who wanted to reconnect them. So wouldn't it have made more sense for the grandfather to hide them?
That would have made more sense, yeah. But also, we never really understand why he leaves.
Yeah, they leave that out.
Yeah.
So,
all he says was he had his reason.
He had his reason, and the kid calls him on it. He's like, well, that's not really an answer.
And he's 100%
just like,
right.
It's like, well, all I know is I've made mistakes, and it was a big mistake, and I'm never going to do it again.
I wonder if they just couldn't think of a reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, they could have just been like, well, your grandfather told me to not hang around. He didn't want no bum truck driver with his daughter or something like that. That could have been it.
Yeah, because they're well off. The Cutler family is they're in a different social class, as Mike says.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't want it to be known that my daughter married a truck driver, even though they are literally the backbone of America.
Sure.
So without truck drivers, the Cutler, I don't know what they do, but I'm assuming they needed trucking at one point or another.
Yeah, exactly. He could have bankrolled Hawk's business plan. You know, he could have set him up with a whole new business. Like Hawk's got the work ethic. So he would have been able to kind of build that from if he gave him a little seed money, have business partners, 50-50.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Even you could even go, you go 60-40.
Yeah.
Right. And Cutler gets the 60%. Whatever.
Yeah. And essentially, that's what he tries to do at the end.
He does it evilly.
Right. Yeah, it's more of a bribe than a partnership. Right. Like, here's that truck, best truck I can find. Here's $500,000. You get the fuck out of here. And essentially.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I would have taken the $500,000. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna screw this kid up at one point or the other. Yeah. It's in his best interest that I take this $500,000 and just hit the road.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably why I thought it was a little more evil. I thought the whole custody thing was still in the balance during the arm wrestling tournament. I didn't know that it was settled before then.
Yeah, I kind of vaguely remembered it being like, if you win this, you go win this competition, you could have your son back. If not, then he's mine.
Yeah, that's what I was going with.
Mustache twirling evilness, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's now question: were the arm wrestlers in the tournament, were they real arm wrestlers?
I believe there were some. Yeah.
I think. Okay. Yeah, the only one that I know for sure wasn't was Bull, right?
Yeah.
He did acting in a lot of.
Yeah.
That I have no clue about.
No, he wasn't like a big time actor. It's like sort of like Goon in a mob movie or something like that.
Gotcha. I loved the little interviews that the arm wrestlers give before their matches. Mm-hmm. Like that pumped me up. I thought that was so cool. He was like, when I get in there, that person, I don't know them, but they're my mortal enemy. I'm like, hell yeah, that's how it should be. No one does that anymore. Everyone's just like, well, I just, I want to go in there and I want to have fun and, I respect that other guy. No, screw that. You want to rip his head off.
Yeah, that's true. You guys want to get
2020.
You guys want to get into the plot?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Dan, what do you got?
All right, so as always, I'd like to give a plug and a shout out to our friend Tia and her podcast, Top 10 with Tia, where her and her friends get together. They discuss the top 10 lists of different things, movies, TV shows, actors, directors, you name it, they're doing it. So she's a part of Geek Vibes Nation, a good friend of our podcast, and she hypes us up. So it's always good to give back. So go over to Geek Vibes Nation and give her a look.
All right. And we're going to get into the plot, but before we do, we're going to take a step back and listen to some messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back.
Hey everyone, this is Steve.
And this is Adam.
And we're part of the Hop Nation USA podcast,
Pittsburgh's #3 craft beer podcast.
Join us every Friday for new beer reviews.
We'll talk about the news, history, and homebrewing.
Plus, we'll sit down with the best brewers and industry personalities that'll have us.
So whether you're a casual drinker, a hazy boy hophead,
or even if you're a whale hunting cellar hoarder,
just search Hop Nation USA on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher and join the nation.
Oh hi, didn't see you there. It's me, George, from the best little horror house in Philly, the show where we talk about the best horror movie ever made, according to our guest at least. We've talked about groundbreaking classics like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Alien, but we've also got a lot of great ones coming up, including some very fun guests like Len Kabaczynski of Swamp Zombies and Red Letter Media fame, Caroline Williams, the star of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Chase Williamson from John Dies at the End. So make sure you're subscribed to the best little horror house in Philly, and I'll see you boils and ghouls over there.
And welcome back, and now it's time to get into the plot for Over the Top. We open with In This Country, Blastin' by Eddie Money plays over some gorgeous mountainscapes as a big rig drives over the winding roads as the credits roll.
I felt like I was in American Truck Simulator.
Felt like we were in a Ford commercial.
I noticed right away one of the good things about this movie was their landscapes. There was a lot of beauty shots. It was cool. You know, the Nevada landscape and like the red rocks, the plateaus. It was cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty looking movie actually.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's especially when you're from the tri-state area as we are. You know, it's just just buildings and concrete. You don't really get that kind of nature, so it's good to see it and appreciate it.
Yeah. Then we meet Lincoln Hawk, who is Stallone with a set of aviator sunglasses and a trucker hat. He's got that sweet hawk hood ornament too, and he's towing a caterpillar. He's towing a cat. And we get some scenes of Michael at his military school graduation ceremony. And then we get to see Stallone washing his truck and then himself. He's looking a little small in this movie. Did anybody else notice that? Like, comparably?
I thought to myself, out of all of the arm wrestlers in this movie, he looks the least likely to be an arm wrestler. Because he was just so much smaller than everyone else. Like
not just like height. And we know Stallone's like 5'5" or something on a good day. But like he seemed like not as cut as he is in like Rocky and Rambo.
Or what's the Tropic Thunder joke? You're looking like Rocky and Rocky 3.
Right.
Yeah, he's 190 pounds, I believe they say in this movie at some point.
Yeah, he went in his way in. So Michael is at his graduation ceremony, and he's looking around for a loved one, but doesn't see anyone. And Stallone shows up in his big rig amongst the stretch limos and the Mercedes. Everyone stares at him, whispers to themselves about him. He's obviously very out of place here.
Yeah.
Michael finds his what?
No. I thought you were pausing, thinking I had something to say. So.
Yeah.
I was actually going to mention when they showed Michael looking around, I thought it was going to be another one of those like, oh, Dad said he was going to be here.
Right.
Of course, he's not here. Where is he? And it's just like Stallone working out or something like that, or just like, you know, he didn't set an alarm or whatever, and like, oh my God, I'm late.
Yeah. No, they go the different route. Michael finds his grandfather's limo driver, who tells him that his grandfather will meet him at the airport. Then someone yells to Michael that the colonel wishes to speak with him, so he goes to the colonel's office. The colonel tells him that his father will be taking him home. Michael tells the colonel that he doesn't have a father and that his grandfather gave him specific instructions to only go home with him or his mother. The colonel tells him that this was his mother's request. So, Michael basically is met, and he meets his father more or less for the first time, Lincoln Hawk, and they take him outside. He sees the truck and asks why they can't fly and how long is it going to take them to get home. Hawk says he's got another drop that he's got to make, but essentially it's going to take them about 2 to 3 days to get home, and he drops the info that Michael's mother is scheduled for surgery that week. We don't really know much about her at this point, but we know that she's got surgery, and eventually we'll find out that she's not doing well. Michael asks him if he really thinks he can make up for 10 years of abandonment in a matter of 3 days, and he says, no, not really.
At least he's honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing. He's completely honest at any point, except
he is.
For one moment. Yeah. When he asks why he leaves. But every other question he asks him, he's like, yeah. So I'm really shit at this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He readily admits that he screwed up. So that's a good thing. Owning up to your mistakes is always a good thing to do, kids.
Yeah.
Out there. Hey, go ahead.
I was gonna say he's a very likable. Obviously, he's the hero, but he's a very, very likable character. But Michael's got a point.
yeah. That's what's good. He's not like he is a bratty kid, but he makes a lot of good points in this movie, and he calls Hawk out on his shit sometimes, and it's a good connection, right? It's not like he's a kid, but he's kind of grown up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's smart, and it's a decent performance.
And there was one thing where they start their road trip, and it got kind of repetitive, where it would be, "Can I ask you a question, sir?" "Sure."
Yeah.
"Can I ask you a question?" "Sure." Like, it's just back and forth with that. I was like, oh my god, please tell me there's more dialogue than this.
Yeah. So then they both hop into the cab of the truck, and then they're off. Michael and we also see that Lincoln's cab is covered in pictures of Michael growing up, and then, as Dan mentioned, Michael asks Lincoln why he's never gotten a single letter or birthday card in all these years. Lincoln says he has been writing him his entire time.
The photos in the truck made it seem like if Michael wanted to, he could convince somebody that this guy was trying to kidnap him and was obsessed with him.
Right. Well, he essentially goes that route in the next scene.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So Michael then says he feels sick, so Lincoln pulls over, and then Michael immediately runs into oncoming traffic. To passers-by, this must look like Hawk is abducting a small Marine.
Two movies in a row where someone is being chased into moving vehicles, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah. Then Robert Loggia as Cutler, Michael's grandfather, shows up to the military school, and the colonel tells him that Michael's mother called and told the colonel to let Hawk take Michael. Cutler basically says that Michael's mother was unfit to make that sort of decision, calls Hawk a worthless bastard, and storms off. Then Hawk takes Michael to a truck stop for some steaks, and Michael is super anti-red meat and annoys Hawk about it to no end, so they order tuna salads.
Is Michael me?
He's not anti-meat in general, because he does eat tuna.
That's right, he has the tuna sandwich. Yeah, I thought he was going to go the vegetarian route.
He's more of the cholesterol is troubling to him.
Yeah,
right.
The late 80s.
Yeah.
It did crack me up how Michael tells Hawk, for a bodybuilder, you don't know much about nutrition. Like, okay, kid, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. This guy clearly knows about nutrition.
Yeah.
And I also love how popular Hawk is.
Yeah, everybody loves Hawk.
He's a good dude.
It's like when Rip shows up at the diner in Nowheresville and No Holds Barred.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So then a guy named Smasher shows up, challenges Hawk to an arm wrestling match, saying he's got $1,000, says he could beat him. So Hawk's got to go to work, as he says.
That's such a great line. Just like, yep, got to go to work.
So Smasher is played by a guy named Magic Schwartz, by the way. Just wanted to throw that one out there. They arm wrestle, and Hawk turns his hat round backwards. And then first Smasher has the advantage, but then Hawk adjusts his grip and wins. So he collects his winnings, and then Bull Hurley comes up to Hawk after, offers him double or nothing. Hawk tells him to wait for Vegas, then we'll arm wrestle there. Hurley tells Michael that his dad is Yella, and says that he see him in Vegas, and he walks off.
Not enough people use that term anymore.
Yeah.
Right, when insulting the main character. You're just yellow. Oh, that's big, That's them's fighting words.
It's not yellow, it's Yella.
Yellow. Well, no, I think Bull calls him yellow.
He might.
He enunciates it?
Yeah, oh yeah, he just like, too bad your father's yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah, I don't know why he did that, because it is yellow.
Yeah. And as we mentioned earlier, I wish there was more Bull in this.
Yeah. That'd have been a nice tension-filled relationship.
Each truck stop, Bull just happens to be there.
Right. It would have been cool if Hawk was like the kid from what was that movie we just watched? The kid
Motorama?
Motorama. Yeah, everywhere Hawk goes, he just gets like his ass kicked or something like that.
Motorama 2, starring Sylvester Stallone.
He shows up to Vegas missing an eye.
So Michael gets upset because his dad is a hustler. So he goes to call his mom. Mom gets on the phone and tells him to give it time and to give Hawk a chance. So then back on the road, Michael and Hawk fight over the radio. Then Michael asks Hawk if he's still dealing drugs. Hawk says that he's never done any of the things that his grandfather says, and that his only mistake was leaving. So then we have a scene with Cutler again. He has a talk with his dying daughter, telling her that it was a mistake to try and bring Hawk back into their lives. He says he's been Michael's father for 12 years, though I thought it was 10, so I'm not 100% sure what the timing of everything is. So he storms off out of her hospital room because she's in the hospital. And then Cutler demands to know if any calls go to his daughter's hospital room. Then we see wrestling legend Terry Funk shows up as Cutler's goon. And Cutler's Weasley assistant tells Cutler that no one can find Hawk or Michael. So he tells them to go find them. At night, Hawk pulls into a rest stop, and they both sleep in the cab for the night. Hawk tells them, if you want to rest your head on my shoulder, you're more than welcome to. But then in the morning when they wake up, Hawk is resting his head on Michael's shoulder.
Oh, what a turnaround.
Little switcheroo there. And in the morning, we get a training montage set to Meet Me Halfway by Kenny Loggins with a straight-up banger.
It was a good one. Yeah, as we've mentioned, the music, the soundtrack in this is actually not bad.
Yeah. If you have a movie in the 80s that doesn't have Kenny Loggins on the soundtrack, what the fuck are you doing?
Are you really an 80s movie?
Yeah. They have some nice bonding moments, and then Michael calls him an idiot. So Hawk pulls over and tells Michael if he thinks any idiot can drive a truck, that he can go ahead and do it. So Michael gets behind the wheel, and he does as well as can be expected, but better than I've ever done driving manual transmission.
Yeah, he catches on pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever driven a dune buggy before?
No, that's true. He doesn't even stall out the engine, which I did countless times. The one time I tried to drive a manual transmission.
I've never even given it a shot.
It's stupid. Don't ever try.
Right. It
Dumbest
means nothing.
thing you could do.
Right. Kids in high school would always, they would always ask, is it manual or automatic? So like, it's automatic. Yeah, of course. Like, go F yourself, man. What does it matter? It means absolutely nothing.
It's a fucking Civic. Who cares?
Right. But I'm 18, dude. All right, let's
like, little did they know their parents just didn't wanted to get a break on the insurance, so they got the manual transmission cars.
Yeah, they thought they were something special.
But yeah, no, like we don't go down to the river and wash our clothes against the rocks. We've got washing machines for it.
Right.
Likewise, we have automatic transmission.
Right. Yeah, things have improved over the centuries.
That's right. All you gearheads go fuck yourselves right now. That's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying.
Your hobby is stupid.
Right. Yeah, it means nothing essentially, because the car still either way. The whole point of a car is to get you from point A to point B. And your car, you just need an extra step to get to point B.
Yeah, it's like gun nuts. They're not like, oh, what do you got, an M16 over there? I just got the musket. It's pretty a lot cooler than yours.
Yeah, I have to load it.
I spent all my paycheck on black powder.
Yeah. My flint paper.
You don't damp your powder yourself? What an idiot. Check out this guy. He's got an M16 over here. His gun does everything for him.
I have to cut my own musket balls. It's pretty awesome. It takes me 5 hours.
I have to
get lead poisoning.
I shoot, and then I got to kneel down and then reload.
Usually someone's behind me.
Somebody else behind me, and then just fills in my spot.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's a good. That's a good comparison.
So they go to a diner, and Hawk finds some older kids and challenges them to arm wrestle Michael. Richie, the kid he arm wrestles, looks just like the bully Henry Bowers from 2017's It. I couldn't get it out of my head. It's like a spitting fucking
really
image.
Close.
I don't recall that. I got to go back and look.
Yeah. But also a special mention to the Mario Brothers arcade cabinet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was a pretty good arcade.
Yeah. I couldn't tell what the other one was, but it said Nintendo on the side. But I couldn't see what the actual cabinet was. It was the one behind the bullies.
Yeah, I only noticed the Mario Brothers one.
It would have been pretty cool if, while they were arm wrestling, they just smashed through.
Smashed through the pinball machine?
Yeah. Like, uh-oh. Scatter!
Stallone just rats the kids out. Who's those guys?
Who's them?
My boy couldn't do that.
Look how weak he is, huh?
So Michael loses the first match and storms off crying. So Hawk goes out, talks to him outside, tells him that he didn't lose because of the kid, he lost because of his attitude. Basically says that I'm trying to teach you how to live life and not be a spoiled brat. So the life isn't going to meet you halfway. So he needs to take what he wants. So they go back inside and Michael wins 2 straight matches. So that was good.
Now
good
this should have been foreshadowing to what happens at the end.
Sure.
Right, because Michael does give him the same speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it should have been some sort of foreshadowing for Hawk versus Bull.
Yep. And it's not?
It's not.
How so?
Well, one, it's the end was supposed to be the whole tournament was a double elimination, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he only goes up against Bull once.
I'm assuming the finals were not double elimination.
So that's what I'm saying. It should have been Hawk loses the first match, right?
Gotcha.
And then Michael gives him the pep talk. Like, you beat yourself there. And then he goes and wins 2 straight.
Gotcha. I get what you're saying now. Okay. So, yeah, then they go back inside. They call Michael's mother, and Michael's going on and on about how we beat this guy in arm wrestling. And he drove a truck, but it's obvious that she's not doing well at all. So Michael gives the phone to Hawk, and Michael goes outside, and they talk a little bit. While Hawk is on the phone with her, Michael gets abducted by a couple of guys, and Hawk has to fist fight a couple more guys.
That part made me laugh. you see in the background Michael's like flexing, and then these 2 dudes just run up on him and grab him. It looked like I felt like something that would have been in like the Airplane movie. Just going on in the background.
Yeah, definitely a Mel Brooksy sort of joke.
Yeah.
They try to get away in a pickup as Hawk pursues in his big rig. Eventually catches up with them at a junkyard and manages to crash into the pickup. So the 2 guys flee once they stop. And then Hawk knows it was Cutler's plan all along.
Yeah,
Cutler,
they weren't like just random kidnappers.
Right.
Yeah,
they were. Right. We don't know what you're talking about, man.
They were locals, though, so it's, we never confirmed that it was his plan, right?
Yeah.
He never confronts him about them trying to steal. Like, he never confronts Cutler about it.
That's a good point. That would have been the first thing. You tried to rob my kid.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm Robert
Just 2
Lozier.
random ass dudes that just saw a young supple boy in a diner parking lot.
Right, an easy target.
In the middle of nowhere. So Cutler has a meeting with his lawyers, or say basically there's no way he's ever going to get custody. It's just not heard of. As long as Hawk shows that he can provide for Michael, he's probably not going to get it. And Cutler's pissed off at his lawyers and is like, well, figure it out, assholes, basically.
He has a point. Loja says he can't even fend for himself, and he's 100% right. He sleeps at truck stops. No judge is going to be like, oh, well, that's fine. We'll give the kid to the truckie who doesn't have a place to live.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely it's sort of a contrivance with just lawyers that, oh, there's nothing we can do. And he's never going to lose it. But they're going to be like, well, there'd be a trial, and they bring up the fact that he's not home 90% of the time, if he even has a home.
Right.
It's like, how is Michael going to get to school? Is he just going to live with him in the truck? There are valid points to be brought up here.
Right. If Robert Lozier just has spineless yes men, essentially.
Yeah. The lawyer just did not want to really do any work.
No, he just wants to collect the paycheck. Again, I don't know what to tell you, Mr. Cutler. It's a solid case here, ironclad. What are you talking about? The guy's a vagabond. He literally sleeps in his truck. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Law and such.
So back in the truck, Hawk tells Michael his plans for starting his own trucking business, and that's what he'd do when he wins the money in Vegas. And then Michael asks him why he left him and his mom, and Hawk doesn't give him an answer. He just says that he knows he made a mistake and it won't ever happen again. So then they pull up to the hospital where his mother is to see her, and when they get there, they find out that Michael's mother has died. Michael runs off, and Hawk chases after him, and Michael says if he hadn't picked him up from military school and he had flown home with his grandfather, he would have seen his mother before she died, which was a fair point. And then he hails a cab, which is randomly there, and the cab just accepts the child and rides away.
It's the 80s.
It's not his job to ask questions. It's just his job to deliver a person to a place.
And get paid for
it. Right. I wonder if what that cab ride was like. Oh, what the hell happened back there, kid? I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, how about them Yankees?
Right. We're in Nevada.
How about them UNLV?
Yeah, it's weird that that Hawk just lets him run away. Right? He's yelling for the cab, and Hawk just kind of lets him go. Yeah. And finally, like, oh shit, wait, Mike. I should have ran sooner.
So there's a funeral scene, and Hawk shows up in his best pair of jeans. Obviously not welcomed there by Cutler or Michael.
Oh man, denim cowboy.
Yeah, so he leaves immediately.
I love the way that must be.
Who was worse dressed for the funeral? Was it Stallone in this, or was it Christian Slater in Gleam in the Cube?
Stallone, because he's an adult.
That's true.
Right.
He should know better, right?
Right. I mean, he showed up to the didn't he? He showed up to the graduation in like suspenders at least.
Yeah.
Right. Here he's rocking his best denim suit.
Right. And he's been in town for at least a week, right? People don't get like, unless she was Jewish, she wasn't getting buried the next day.
No,
she would have like at least 2 days of a wake, probably. You know, I got to go get some clothes for this funeral that I know I'm attending.
And where does he keep his clothes? In the truck?
I'm sure. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's just
pretty big cab.
Okay. Yeah, they show the inside of the cab, and it didn't look like there was that much space, unless he's got it like in a duffel bag or something, which is entirely possible.
Oh yeah, he's totally just duffel bagging it.
Yeah. Man, you're right though. He had plenty of time.
Yeah, funerals are not spur of the moment. They are thoughtfully planned out.
And especially with a family like the Cutlers, who, you know, they're obviously well known.
Oh yeah.
You would think you could at least go to Cutler and just say, hey, I need a suit for the funeral. Yeah. Could you spot me some money?
Yeah, there's no way that Cutler doesn't go all out for his daughter's funeral.
Right. Yeah, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Do you think he was invited to the repass?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was invited to the funeral, but it's like a public place. I don't think you could stop somebody.
Right. Yeah, that's the one thing. It's at the cemetery, I think anyone's allowed in.
Yeah. So he leaves immediately after he sees the look on Cutler and Michael's faces. And then he has a reflective moment at the ocean. But apparently this reflective moment doesn't have much of an effect on Hawk, because he shows up to Cutler's estate looking to talk to Michael, and the guards won't open the gate for him, so he smashes it with his truck and continues to drive his truck straight into Cutler's front door. This is a sure way to assure that he isn't going to get custody of Michael.
Yeah, he probably caused, I want to say like $10,000 worth of damage.
Oh,
easily more. Right?
That's a $50,000 fountain.
Yeah.
That he runs over. Probably
plus the house.
That's probably like a $5,000 door.
So what are you thinking? Like close to like 80?
I think, yeah, 80 to 100K in damages. The lawyer probably was pretty happy. He was like, oh, well, now we've got a shot.
Now that we can show that he's insane.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna get this kid. And Loja should have just left it at that.
Yes.
Like, you put the final nail in your own coffin there.
Oh,
Hawk.
yeah. That custody battle would be over day one.
Yeah.
Like, says here you were arrested for driving your big rig truck through a private property and into a house. Okay, I've heard enough. Boom.
Michael is
and you've been
awarded
gone
to
for
the
10 years. And you've been gone for 10 years too before that, right?
And you wore
3 days with your son since then.
And you wore a jean suit to a funeral. I can't in good conscience let you have this child. I'm sorry.
You wore a pair of blue jeans with a tucked in black shirt to a funeral. Okay.
Yeah. Outside of Robert Loggia's character being like 80s rich evil, I don't think I disagree with him at any point in this movie. And in terms of the kid,
he's not even evil really.
Right.
Up until the end.
Yeah.
he's really, I feel like he's really just looking out for Michael, and you have to, if you're coming from his standpoint, he raised the kid, so that's his kid.
It's the only family he has left.
Right.
He just buried his daughter.
Right. Like, I'm not going to give up the child that I helped raise for 10 to 12 years. Like, I know we would all feel the same way, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think Robert Loesch has a 100% a valid position here. It's not he's not, like, as Mark said, like, earlier in the podcast, like, I remember him being so much more evil, like Ben Gazzara in Roadhouse evil.
Yeah.
But he's nowhere near that.
No, he acts evil, like his cadence is very evil,
right?
But his positioning is spot on. He's 100% in the right.
Yeah.
And Hawk does nothing to really remedy that situation until the end again.
This is literally the worst thing anybody does in the entire movie, and Hawk does it.
Yeah, destroying public property.
Yeah, so he gets arrested too. Cutler tells him that he can't change the fact that he abandoned his own son, and there's no way he's coming in and taking Michael. Hawk makes an aggressive move up the stairs to get Cutler, but Terry Funk and a couple other goons tackle him as police show up and take Hawk away. In jail, Hawk gets brought in front of Cutler's personal secretary, who gives him an ultimatum to give up custody and they won't press charges, continue to fight Cutler over Michael, and they'll basically ruin him with a giant drawn-out legal battle. Michael talks to Hawk and says that he thinks he'd be better off with his grandfather, so then Hawk agrees to sign the custody paper. Then Hawk goes to the arm wrestling competition, sells his truck for $7,000, but takes his Hawk hood ornament, he takes it with him. Meanwhile, Michael finds all the letters that his dad sent him all these years in his mom's purse and starts reading them. And then Hawk puts all $7,000 that he got for selling the truck on himself at the wages, like betting.
He's 20 to 1 odds to win it.
20 to 1 odds. So he's betting $7,000 on himself.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good payout on top of what's
$100,000 for the champion and a $250,000 truck.
Yeah, so he's gonna make out like a bandit if he wins. Don't want to spoil anything.
Right.
Just wanted to
throw that out there.
So Michael sneaks out of his grandfather's estate and steals one of his cars, which was like a 4Runner. I was like, why is there a 4Runner in that garage?
Yeah, you would think there would be some like luxury automobile that he would steal or something like that.
Maybe he picks that one because it's the closest to a dune buggy.
He should have stolen the dune buggy.
And Cutler's goons chase after him in a limo. The arm wrestling world championship competition begins. There are a few things that you have to remember in this if you're going to understand the arm wrestling world championship. Okay?
Yeah.
1, they come from all over the world to compete. Italy, Germany, Russia, other places. All over to compete. Number 2, it's double elimination. So if hypothetically Hawk loses once before the finals, he's definitely not out of the competition. Just, in case it comes up later. I just pointed these out because they say it 100
constantly.
Times.
They do. Yeah. Yeah. They come from all over the world. All right. Cool. That's not something you need to say more than once.
Double elimination.
Maybe people were coming in late.
Maybe.
Who knows? For all you stragglers back there.
Yeah. And then we get a montage of the championship. Set 2, Winner Takes It All by Sammy Hagar, which is another goddamn banger. Oof, it's so hot. It's so lit.
Yeah, it's straight fire. Just one after the other.
Oof, man. And there's also...
Not even Van Hagar.
No, it was Sam. So apparently I was reading... there was a first original version done for the movie, but they didn't feel like it was angry or mean enough, so they asked Sammy Hagar to do it. So
that's kind of weird to ask Sammy Hagar to do something just to make it sound rougher.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, it worked. That song slaps.
Yeah. I just go back to a point earlier. Hawk also won $147,000 for betting on himself.
Yep. Yeah. So he made good money. But then he was going to tank it in his business, Hawk & Son. I mean, that name alone, I wouldn't want to rent from them or hire them. Hawk & Son? No, that's terrible. No, thank you.
There's also a women's competition, but none of the women seem like type of women that would take part in an arm wrestling competition.
Yeah, they all look very, they just look like regular women.
They look like waitresses.
Right.
Yeah.
In spandex.
Yeah.
I wanted to see more of their stuff, though.
Yeah. You wanted over the top 2 women's division?
Yeah, they should have done the co-ed where the top woman meets the top man.
See, there's one thing I always remember there being like an arm breaking scene in this movie, but that doesn't happen.
Someone gets hurt.
There's one where it's like a dislocated elbow. That's
right, but I might be thinking of one of the Supermans where it might be Superman 1 where does he break a guy's arm in like the diner? I haven't seen Superman in a long time.
That's evil Superman, right?
Oh, so is that Superman 2? Is there no evil Superman in Superman 1?
No.
Right.
I think that's Superman 3 actually.
Oh, yes, Superman 3. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets like separated, and like Clark gets separated from Superman, and Superman's like a drunk and he's a bad guy. Right.
But I feel I don't remember what movie it is that it's
I think he like crushes someone's hand.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Or I could be thinking of Roadhouse for all I know.
But to be honest, that's why I will never ever ever arm wrestle, because like 1, I am not strong enough, and 2, I've seen some of those injuries where the guy just like snaps his arm.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna chance it.
Or like their tendon snaps and the muscle rolls up. Ooh.
Yep, I want no part of that.
Icky, I don't like that.
Icky. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. So Michael makes it to the airport and gets on a TWA flight to Vegas. Meanwhile, Cutler and his men hop on a private jet. Hawk makes it to the final 8, and Michael sneaks off the plane to try and escape Cutler's men as they try and board the plane as they're deplaning, and he winds up on the tarmac and eventually hides in a pile of luggage. We get some interviews with each of the 8 semifinalists, and Hawk is somehow the least intelligible in his interviews.
What is he talking about? It's like, I don't even care if I become the champion. I want the truck. Like,
the truck.
I think you need to win it to win the truck. So that's not going to work out, Hawk.
It's like, you want to try that again?
Let's roll again. Let's try it one more time.
Maybe try being a little bit more excited.
Yeah, everyone else is intense, and he's just kind of like bored to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really care if I win the whole thing. I want the truck. Oh, great. Thanks for coming.
And then Michael, back at the airport, pops up in the luggage carousel and runs off. And then back at the championship, Hawk loses his first semifinal match to John Grizzly. But don't worry, as we mentioned earlier, this is double elimination, so Hawk is not eliminated just yet.
Yeah, they make the really dramatic announcement of that.
Yep.
Remember, the semifinal is double elimination.
It's so dramatic when he loses in that scene, too. It's like, well, it's double elimination, guys. We heard you. So
right.
He's got another shot.
And it was to someone of like literally no consequence in the movie. Right? Again, like he loses to a person who we haven't seen before the tournament.
Yeah.
Like, why did you make him lose there? It makes no sense. Now, like, okay, well, yeah, they built up the drama where, oh, no, he's only 1 loss away.
Right.
Like, all right, well, he's not going to lose at any other point.
Yeah. Should have lost to Bull there.
Right.
And they meet back up in the finals.
And then he should have lost again, and then you make over the top 2 where he beats Bull. And it just becomes the Rocky series.
I was just going to say, so is it just Rocky?
Right. It's the arm wrestling of Rocky.
So he loses, and he gets worked on a little bit by some medics. He says maybe a little bit of a strain. Then Terry Funk shows up and tells him that Cutler wants to see him in his suite. So he heads up to the suite, and Cutler once again gives him an ultimatum. He offers him a brand new $250,000 truck and about $500,000 cash. Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tells him that he could have it if he just leaves Michael and him alone. Just moves on with it. Get himself a new family, he says. So he doesn't accept it, though, and he goes back down to the fight and throws Terry Funk through a glass door. And he goes back down to the competition and matches with Grizzly again, who drinks Valvoline, apparently. And then Hawk wins.
Kill you, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. Isn't Valvoline just motor oil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, do not drink motor oil with the hopes of not dying.
It would have been great if he just keeled over right there. You're mine. He guzzles it, collapses. Hawk is the winner.
So Hawk finally beats Grizzly. And meanwhile, Bull Hurley is cruising through his matchups. Meanwhile, Michael is in a cab on the way to the competition.
One of the things I liked about these scenes is they would often cut to the arm wrestlers doing like practicing their arm movement. Like, well, there's only one. There's two ways your arm can go, dude. It's either gonna go. It's gonna go down one way or the other. So, like, what are you practicing there?
Oh man, you got to watch Way Over the Top.
There's a lot of ways to train being an arm wrestler.
It's been a long time, but I do need to be refreshed in Way Over the Top.
So Hawk beats Mad Dog Madison to make it to the finals, and in the finals he matches up with the guy, and he cheats into the finals basically. The guy gets surprised when the match starts, and he just pins him immediately. And then Hurley beats some Canadian dude. So Michael shows up at Hawk as Hawk is waiting on his final match. Michael tells him that he wants to be with him. And then it's Michael giving Hawk the pep talk, saying that life isn't going to meet him halfway, because now Hawk is all of a sudden being really self-conscious and worried about losing to Bull.
Yeah, that line felt like a very Rocky line.
100%.
Like, life doesn't meet you halfway.
In Rocky IV, he gives his son the, if you get knocked down, you get back up.
That's Rocky Balboa. The true.
The winning is done.
The winning's done.
Well, doesn't he give him he like being scared, I think, in Rocky IV, right? Like, yeah, I am scared, but you got to face that fear and stuff like that. Right before he goes to Russia.
Yep. Yeah. And then the robot says, "Happy birthday, Paulie."
It's very out of place. Trying to talk to my son here.
That's all the robot could say. It's got like the chip, it's the 80s, so the chip is like the size of a vinyl record, but it's got a megabyte. All I could say is "Happy birthday, Paulie."
With the techno music behind it.
Michael says that he doesn't care about the competition. He just wants to be with Hawk, and they hug and they have a very nice father-son moment. So it's Lincoln Hawk versus Hurley in the finals, and then we get cutaways to the documentary where they're doing, and Hurley talks, and then Lincoln Hawk talks about the switch. Basically, when he turns his hat around, that's the switch. It turns him into something not human, more like a truck, like a machine.
I would love if they had added the Transformer sound. Like when he turns it around, just roll out.
Yeah. I love how Bulls is really dark.
Yeah.
It's like, essentially, I just want to kill him.
Right, he's like, I never want him to arm wrestle again.
Bull, do we want to take that from the top? Maybe not as evil?
Right, you're admitting to manslaughter here.
Yeah.
Like, oh no! If he dies during this competition, that's like the best outcome I can imagine.
Right. Not only do I win the truck, he dies.
That's not any better.
An orphan.
Not any better.
Right. Yeah. It's super over the top evil, but I love it.
Hey, that's the name of this movie.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. No pun intended.
At the championship, Hurley is getting into Hawk's head, and the match starts, and Hurley gets the advantage on Hawk until the hold breaks, and Hurley thinks Hawk is trying to be a coward, basically. They start back up, but now they're strapped together. And Hurley cheap shots Hawk in the nose right before they start back up, which they probably should have just ended the competition right there. Like, well, you should fucking do that, dude.
Yeah, all the ref goes is, that's 2 fouls.
And I don't understand what that means. What was the first foul?
I guess when they broke the hold.
So was it three strikes and you're out kind of thing?
And I'm not 100% sure how many fouls you get. And this could be like basketball. You could get like 5, 6.
Was it 2 T's and you're out, right?
Yeah.
So that was one technical, I guess. I don't know how it works. I didn't know there were rules that you have to square up.
This isn't Battle of the Tough Guys.
Yeah. Right. It's a different movie.
Right. Well, yeah, you have to square shoulders, and you have to be able to see the thumb or something like that. Like, what was it? Like Crazy Joe or whoever. She's like, I can't see my thumb. Like, it's there. You're fine. What the hell are they talking about? Just arm wrestle.
Yeah. So they start back up. They're strapped together. They go back and forth a couple of times until Hurley gets the advantage. Then Hawk digs deep, readjusts his grip, and brings Hurley back over the top. And one last push. Hawk brings Hurley down, and the crowd goes insane. First person to beat Hurley in 5 years. And Hawk and Michael celebrate. Cutler gets it at this moment. The boy needs his dad, and he just gives an approving nod to Hawk.
I like that Bull is a good sport.
Yeah, he raises the arm.
Mm-hmm. And then In This Country starts playing again. Hawk and Michael discuss their plans for their new business, Hawk and Son, and they drive off in this brand new truck. Yeah. And that's the end of Over the Top.
They faked this out with the freeze frame, because I was thinking in my head, like, this movie better end with a goddamn freeze frame.
Should have. Yeah.
Right? With Hawk holding Michael up. And they are. Right? They do the freeze frame, and I'm like, fuck yeah. That's how you end the movie. And then it cuts to them talking about the business. I was like, oh, movie, you ruined it.
Yeah, if you know well enough to do the freeze frame, you gotta know you gotta end it, you know?
Exactly.
If you're like, freeze frame it right here, boom. Too stupid to just know when
to stop.
Getting's good.
Right. Yeah, that exchange at the end was written by Stallone. It's the only reason.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. They pulled the Lord of the Rings on us.
Multiple endings.
Yeah. I remember just when I saw the Return of the King in theaters, and they had the one ending where, like everyone kneels to the hobbits, and it just like pans away from the city. Fuck yeah, that was an awesome ending. And like, nope, we're still going. Okay. I was kind of like checked out at that point, but I'll continue. That's how I felt here. Like, oh, you're still going.
Right.
Unnecessary, but okay.
And that's the movie. I had so much fun with this. It's such a feel-good movie. It's such an 80s feel-good movie. We need more movies like this.
Yeah, this was a fun movie, Mark. I commend you on this pick for sure.
Now, tune in next choice when I pick another movie that I started in college and we watch Gone with the Wind.
Well, we're not going to be able to find it. It's gone. Erased from history, Mark.
Except it's back on HBO Max.
Yeah, you can find it very easily. It's just how everyone was like, "Oh, you're erasing history. It's gone now." No, it's still around.
Yep.
You can find it.
It was off there for like a month. It's back. I actually think they added like a intro of
a disclaimer,
a historian talking about it or something.
Nice. Well, yeah, this movie was good. Like Ant said, definitely a feel-good movie. They did pretty much everything right for this type of movie. You're not going to go in there expecting cinematic gold, but you're gonna have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And I think we can all agree the only way to make this movie better is more arm wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Build up the rivalry between Hawk and Bull, and show more arm wrestling for sure.
Have regionals.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Like we said, just add more of a rivalry between Bull and him, and that's really all I would do to make this movie better.
Yep.
It's just fun. It's a fun, stupid movie. I'm sorry that the makers of it didn't enjoy this movie, but I had a blast with it.
I think a lot of other people have. So they don't know. Maybe they do know now, but they know that they were making a sort of cult classic, really.
Yeah, I dig it. You guys got any last words on it?
No. I think I'm good. I enjoyed it.
Okay. You guys want to plug your shit?
Yeah, absolutely. At DAquino122 on Twitter. That's my personal Twitter. I also run the Stranger Damies account on Twitter. It's at Stranger Damies. So come follow us there. Talk all things D&D, movies, video games, comic books. Like we like to talk about it all. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah. So we have our podcast, Stranger Damies, our D&D podcast, airs every Wednesday. The last episode, the newest episode would have aired yesterday. You can find that anywhere you get your podcast, Stranger Damies, just search for it, or you can just go to strangerdamies.podbean.com and get the RSS feed there, I believe. And then we have the Game Vault podcast, which airs every other Monday. So just be sure to check that out. Again, that's just search for the Game Vault podcast, or basically you can click the link from Twitter on @GameVaultPod, because we're at Stranger Damies as well there. And be sure to check out all of our streams over at Game Vault Pod. We play usually 3 to 4 times a week, so you'll find something that you enjoy. There's RPGs, there's horror games, there's multiplayer co-op shooters, sometimes strategy games, and retro games every other Monday. So you'll find something you like there. And then I don't know do you want to talk about this thing we do on the Mondays we don't do retro games?
Yeah, sure. I'll step in. This past week, Monday, or now it's 2 Mondays ago, when you hear this, but we did, for the first time ever, we did a Twitch watch party, which is on twitch.tv/themaindamey. We set up, and we're going to do this every other Monday. So I'm confusing myself in the weeks, but just check the Twitter of the Main Damey. It's at the Main Damey. Just look to see what we're gonna do. But every 2 weeks we're gonna kind of try and put together a Twitch watch party where we pick a movie we've either done in the past on the podcast or a movie that we feel is a little bit too good for the podcast, and we just kind of want to sit around and talk about it. And like cult classic sort of is kind of where we're going with that. And we're just gonna sit there, kind of chill out, have a beer or two, and watch the movies and talk about it as like a commentary, basically. So that's gonna be fun. We did No Holds Barred first, and we're probably gonna do some similar themed movies there. But we had a blast doing that, and we're gonna check that out. So it's twitch.tv/themaindamey. Check us out on Twitter to find out when the next movie is gonna come and what movie it'll be. And join us. Join us and watch a movie with some friends, really, at this point.
And don't be shy and talk and chat while we're there, Yeah.
And that's going to do it for They Called Us a Movie this week. We're They Called Us a Movie, and you can find us at theycalledusamovie.podbean.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Just look for They Called Us a Movie, and I'm sure we'll pop up. We are themaindamey.com. That is our main website. And you could find all... I don't know if you can hear the cats going absolutely insane right now. Chasing each other. And you can find the Main Damey is our main website. It's themaindamey.com. And you can find us on all social media at The Main Damey. So that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look for The Main Damey, and it'll be there. And we are also a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gbnation.com. On all social and podcast apps, just by looking for Geek Vibes Nation. Bunch of great shows on there. We're a part of it, and we're happy to be there. And they have so many other great shows that it's something for everybody. If you're into geek culture or sports, are coming back. So I think they have some sports shows. And as Dan mentioned, Tia's Top 10 with Tia is there as well. Something for everybody. Check them out. They're a bunch of great people with a whole bunch of different interests. And if you have any questions or comments for us, themaindamey@gmail.com is a great place to get in touch with us. Suggest a movie that you would like us to cover on the Twitch or on this podcast, and maybe we'll give you a shout out. If you've got time, if you have an iTunes account, please go to iTunes, look us up there, and drop us a 5-star review. Really helps us with the algorithm. It's like the only thing that matters is basically reviews, which is weird because people usually don't write reviews on things they like, but they'll let you know if you suck. But if you've got a chance, please do that too. We would greatly appreciate it. And that's gonna wrap this up this week. The director of Over the Top is Menahem Golan. I think that's how you pronounce it. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Lavecchio saying to Menahem Golan, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you?